Ezra is coming behind a priest named Zerubbabel, who becomes a governor, and he's leading like over 1,000 Jews back to Jerusalem, back out of exile. Now, the journey from where they was back to Jerusalem, a very dangerous journey. People were killed along that route. So Ezra, watch, who was a man of the scriptures and a man of God, in Ezra chapter 8, and verse 21, before they leave to head to Jerusalem, he says in verse 21, then I, that is Ezra, proclaimed a fast there. You know what it is? He called the whole group, over 1,000 of them, to a fast. So we see corporate fasting is biblical. Then I, Ezra, proclaimed a fast there at the river Hava, that we might humble ourselves before God, because that's what fasting is. It is humbling yourself before God. It is acknowledging that God has the power and the capacity to move on your behalf. To seek from him a safe journey for ourselves and our children and all of our goods. For I was ashamed to ask the king for a band of soldiers and horsemen to protect us against the enemy on our way. So this is powerful. So Ezra says to himself, we have to make a journey that's dangerous. Should I depend on men or should I depend on God? And because he was bragging on God, which he says next, watch, and because he told them, the hand of our God is for good on all who seek him, and the power of his wrath is against all who forsake him. So he's bragging about God to a king, and he says to himself, well, since I was bragging on the ability of God, now I have a choice to make. Do I go back to that king and ask for soldiers to protect us and ruin the reputation of God, or do I put my faith out there, fast and pray, and trust God to provide for me what man cannot provide for me? So he calls the congregation to a fast, and what is their response? Verse 23, so we fasted. That is, we hear you, man of God. We got you, man of God. We're gonna do this, watch this word, together, man of God. All of us together. We're gonna seek God together. We're gonna humble ourselves together. We're gonna fast together. We're gonna consecrate together. So we fasted and implored. You know what implored is? Pleaded, petitioned, prayed, asked our God for this. And I like this next part. And he listened to our entreaty. Did you see that? Watch this. They fasted and prayed, and God answered. Watch this. This is God meeting a need through fasting and prayer. And I know there are plenty of people under the sound of my voice. You have a need right now in your life that may be inside the context of God's will, and God might be so inclined to move on your behalf if you would humble yourself, consecrate, fast, pray, seek him, implore him, and trust him to move to meet the need that you have right now in your life. Here is a group of people fasting. God responds by meeting the need. A second example I love is in Acts chapter 13. I'm just gonna jump around the scriptures. Can I do that? I'm going outside of what I normally do. Is that, anybody got a problem with that?